Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Grizzly Bear Sim's YouTube channel, and welcome back to Elm Creek Farm, episode number 25. And I just want to point out these three pieces of implement over here: the mulcher, the grass or oilseed radish seeder, and then that fertilizer spreader. Just want to point those out because I'm going to talk a little bit about that here momentarily. And yeah, we are in a brand new game month. We are in the first phase of September, and we got the wheat harvested. As you can see, the wheat is harvested, and we've got oilseed radish planted in there, and everything is good to go. And we managed to collect just a little over 100,000 liters of wheat off of this field. So it was a very, very impressive yield. I'm very happy with the yield of that crop, and that's going to allow us to feed the mill for quite some time. And as you can see here, it is chop day for us. We are going to chop our first field of corn. Hopefully this will work. Um, I've got I've got Courseplay running the chopper, the John Deere chopper, and of course I'm going to drive the John Deere tractor and tipper just to avoid any sort of problems. Courseplay has been updated multiple times since even I recorded episode 24, which was done yesterday. As I record this episode, we are at version 7.009. So basically the ninth update for Courseplay for Farming Simulator 22. And things are much better. Not a whole, well, I've not discovered a lot of new functionality, but I can tell you that the functionality that is included with Courseplay, with this version of Courseplay, is in fact much better. So what's he going to do? He is supposed to potentially consider doing a headland, um, but it doesn't look like he is going to do that. So we are just going to turn, and that may be my error, my problem in how I set it up. Maybe I set something up wrong, but it's okay. We don't need the headland per se on this field. I think we're going to be all right with what we've got going on. So it looks like he's running at about 6 miles an hour or so. So we're going to see what our cruise. No, we can't do that. Let me back up just a little bit. Come on. And we are going to lower our cruise down just a little bit. Not a big field, so we won't get a whole lot of advantage from running cruise, but it will help my foot just a little bit. I don't have to constantly keep my foot on the gas. Okay, so those three pieces of equipment down there that I mentioned just a few minutes ago. One of the things that I realized as we are, coming into our second year of playing this wonderful map, and the second year of this let's play and the role play and whatnot that we're doing. I thought for a second there he shut off his engine. Um, got Jack running the chopper, by the way, because didn't feel like that this was a task that we wanted to throw Bo's way just right now, at least not this year. But as we're coming into our second year, and especially as we kind of look at the role play of this map and how we have been doing things, we kind of cleared off the fields that we could the first year, the first summer, fall time frame, and we evaluated what we wanted to do with those fields, and we combined fields to make bigger fields. And as we're coming kind of back around through our harvest of this second summer, second fall that we're playing this map, we're looking at doing that even more, expanding these fields, making these fields much more productive for us, and in a sense, doing our very best to improve our efficiencies because, the efficiencies of things, if the effort to do work, if the effort to seed a field is only slightly more if the field is just a little bit larger, like for example, what we did with the canola field down field number 11, I believe it is. The level of effort to seed that, to manage that field, harvest that field, or whatever is only going to be slightly more time consuming, but yet the yield that we should get off of that with the crop should basically make it all worth it. So been looking at it, been talking to Jack and to Bo, and even consulting my dad just a little bit. I haven't talked about my dad very much since he moved off the farm and kind of moved into a simplified, um, somewhat retired life, maybe his second or third retirement of his life. But anyway, he still likes to consult with me, and I still like to consult with him on things on the direction of the farm and whatnot. And so, one of the things that I have said for the last several episodes that wanted to look into um, purchasing new fields, and obviously we're going to purchase larger fields, um, something that rivals close to this size of field number 10. And of course, we want to do things with our existing fields. So, for example, just taking a look at six, what we have combined here with 4, 5, 6, as well as 7, which is sunflowers, and 8 just next to it, which is soybeans. Maybe even making this one large field, perhaps all the way up um, to the end of, I think that would be field number 9 up there, and making that one large field. Either that or combining and making 4, 5, and 6, which we are treating as one field right now, combining that with 7, and then combining 8 and 9 together. Again, we're just kind of in the study phase right now, but one of the things that I realized as the team, myself and Jack, I'm sorry, George and Bo, my character names, if you are new to my channel, I've got character names that I enjoy playing with. These are childhood friends of mine who I have named into my role plays. We've got Billy Bob and Jack that often appear on maps, and then I've got George and Bo, and I have been mixing up Jack and George, and my apologies to them and to you for doing that. But it is George that is driving the forage harvester this morning and doing a fine job of it. So we're going to need to go and empty our first load of chaff as George waits for us. But have been speaking with George and with Bo with regards to the future of this farm, the future of any sort of expansion, and how we continue to move things forward. And that is, making more money. The bed and breakfast is its own sort of enterprise, and of course, some of the things that we do in addition to the bed and breakfast, with, for example, chopping corn for silage, for chaff for silage, is sort of part and parcel to the B&B, because the B&B benefits from the milk that we get out of the dairy, and things of that nature. Obviously, the vineyards, we've talked about that, the tomatoes, the lettuce, the eggs, all of that stuff is sort of a component of the B&B, helping to support the B&B. But it is doing quite well, and the wife stays very busy with running the B&B. And so for us, for George and Bo and myself, we're wanting to let me start this dumping here. We're wanting to keep ourselves busy and keep moving the needle forward, keeping that moving in the right direction. and continuing to expand things, making more money, and all the while making more money, while that's important to us, if we can improve efficiencies here and there that help to lower our operating costs just somewhat a little bit better, or at least match it up closer with the expected increase of yields and that sort of thing that we're looking at getting by combining some of these fields, then that's going to be all the more better for us. So those three pieces of equipment that I pointed out just a few minutes ago, when we were basically putting the oilseed radish in the ground for field number 10, which was the wheat field that we harvested in the previous episode, when we were planting the oilseed radish, I realized at that particular point in time that, it was between the efforts of myself and George to harvest the wheat off of that field, the efforts of all three of us to basically prep that field. We didn't have to de-rock it or anything because we just basically mulched it, and then we came over and put oilseed radish down. We didn't disturb the soil enough to reveal any rocks below the top layer of soil, which was good because that means we don't have to spend money, time, fuel, etc. To harvest those stones. And it doesn't really benefit us to want to do that outside of the regular plow cycle because um, there's not a lot of value in the rocks. I mean, sure, we're gonna sell whatever we dig out of the fields. That is true enough, but thinking about that as a bonus crop, the the cost to get those rocks out of the ground, especially the larger rocks, the smaller rocks we roll under, that's not a big thing. But the cost of getting the larger rocks out of the ground and getting those to the rock crusher um, is more expensive than it is the price that we get for those rocks. And there's nothing that we can really do with those rocks other than get them out of the fields to avoid damage to our equipment, and B, get them to the rock crusher and let them dispose of them, and they give us a little bit of money as the fact that they sell that on to other customers to pave their driveways and do decorative stuff around their homes and such as that. So, not to lose my voice already this morning, it is a nice cold morning here in the Mile High City as I break out of role play to get a sip of coffee. And the coffee is good. This is more of my Christmas coffee. So the decision that we all more or less made was that as we are moving away from these smaller fields, and as these fields currently stand, they are going to change, um, at least become one whole big field, or at the very least become two slightly larger fields in this little stretch of land between these two roads. Um, that the amount of time that it really takes in using the smaller equipment drives our costs up. It drives our fuel up. It drives our labor obviously up because it takes longer to do something with a larger tool than it does, or it takes longer to do something with a smaller tool than it does with a larger tool. Um, for an example, our seeder that we typically use to plant wheat or barley, oats, sorghum, etc., that is about twice, maybe a little over twice the working width as the seeder that we purchased just to do the oilseed radish and or grass that we wanted to do. Now, the beauty of that seeder as we saw it when we purchased it was the fact that it rolled at the end of, after it dropped the seeds in the ground, it rolled those seeds under. I don't see that. I don't see the value in field rollings or seed rolling, especially with oilseed radish. I don't think that really is a thing that will help us because it's not a harvestable crop. So we're just really wanting it to grow well enough where we can essentially cultivate that oilseed radish back into the soil for that first fertilization layer and then call it good. Um, and then, of course, the second fertilization layer will either come with chemical fertilizer or it will come from slurry. And so we will figure out what that process is going to be as we get to that point. But the rolling concept doesn't benefit us, in my opinion. I can't think of how it would with oilseed radish. We're only going to get one level of fertilization out of it. So if we can put the oilseed radish in the ground, because I believe that that's a good idea for us to use going forward. In other words, not only this season, this year, as we are prepping these fields for next spring, we'll pick what we're going to plant for winter harvest. We've got to plant wheat and barley in the winter time, and we'll figure out which one of these fields we're going to do that on this year. But the 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 benefit to that. So, long story short, what I'm leading up to is that those three pieces of equipment, which includes the mulcher, which includes the oilseed radish, grass seeder, and also that solid fertilizer attachment, are going to be sold. We have those out there. I've made some calls to some farmers in the local area that I know might benefit from those pieces of equipment. We put them out there because in the event that they want to demo something, that they want to get out here and test something in these fields that we've just opened up, or that we've just harvested, they can do that if they choose to do that. But essentially, we're going to sell those pieces of equipment. The the forage harvester, the header, and this trailer were all leased for the specific job of chopping the corn for silage. Just to let you all know on the financial side how that's going to work out. I have also made the decision that we are going to lease the grape harvester when it comes time to harvest grapes, and I think that will be done in the very next episode that you will see, episode 26, that you'll see the next day that I release a video. We will get that done, and that will be leased. We will lease that piece of equipment. The reason why we're going to lease the grape harvester is because I'm not 100% sure, and I've talked about this in previous episodes, about just how fun the whole grape process is going to be, as I'm kind of stuck on. All right, and we're out. Anyway, I'm not 100% certain, how profitable the grapes are going to be, how much overall enjoyment that I have essentially got out of the process of harvesting grapes and all that kind of stuff. It kind of goes back to the conversation that I had with regards to poplars and with regards to sugarcane and such, that it's just sometimes these things are a little more time consuming and they don't bring a whole lot of value to my gameplay and don't bring a whole lot of value to subject matter to put on the channel and everything. And so we're just going to see. I'm committed to going through the process of harvesting the grapes, because obviously we've got money and everything tied up in that. But I really kind of want to see just what the return on investment is, and I think it's going to cost us about 18,000, 15 to 18,000, I think, to lease that harvester. And in my opinion, that is that's money well spent for the test piece of it, to see how how I like it as an element, as a crop to harvest, and then whether or not I would consider to continue to do that on that piece of field. What we might expand it, don't know yet, but we'll evaluate that once we harvest. But one of the reasons why, obviously, why we're going to lease that equipment, and obviously the reason why we have leased the silage equipment, is simply because we want to save as much money as we can to put that into fields. That is the goal. And even I talked to my dad because I just value his opinions about certain things, especially matters of financial um, stuff, and said, this is how much money I have. I'm looking at selling a few pieces of equipment. Um, and do you think it is viable, a good investment for us to potentially consider taking out a small bank loan if we need it to be able to cover the additional costs for the land that we want to expand to? And he seemed to think that it was a good idea. Obviously, he's from kind of this school of thought that, if you can pay cash for something and avoid interest payments and all that, then you are certainly better off for that. But if you have a plan to basically be able to pay that loan off quickly and avoid as much of the interest as possible, sometimes there's no other way to do things. And so, what I'm looking at is how to basically maximize our our yields and our financial situation, at the end of next year's harvest. And this is the way that this is what I've come up with. This is the plan that I've come up with, is to do this expansion. You know, um, Joining these fields up here don't really cost us anything other than time and labor and fuel. But purchasing a plot of land that's going to potentially cost us uh, $450,000, $500,000. Um, that's a little bit of a harder pill to swallow. But again, the yield factor, I think that we can, with our other operations that we have going on, selling the eggs, the B&B, the produce, the honey, our crops, etc., then I think that we can make all that work for us. Now, I am still in two minds as to what to do with this, with all this corn. I had been thinking about, and what I talked to George and Bo about, is potentially, if we've got room for it in the silo or in the silage plant, if we've got room for it, we'll put as much as we can in there as possible. And if we see that once we get everything in there, if we see that we have, 100, and we need about 150,000 liters, I think, for safety's sake, to go into the rest of this year and through, next summer until we can do this again. Um, then anything above that, we might consider selling. Um, I think that silage, perhaps I'll have to look and see. We'll have to make some phone calls, but I think silage would be more profitable than selling corn for grain purposes or animal feed purposes. So we're just going to see when we get to that point. Obviously this is our third trailer, so this is holding, I think, 50,000 liters, something like that. So we've already got, probably when we complete this trailer load, we'll probably already have what we need to go through the winter, the spring, and the summer until we can basically chop again. So this is only just on one field. Back up, I got a little bit ahead of myself. All right, so we will spin around. And I'm going to start wrapping things up because we are already at about 20, close to 25 minutes, and I want to let you guys get on with your day. And I will do this, the rest of this corn chopping. We'll do that off camera. May not do anything with the fields off camera, so I don't know if we'll get a chance to basically prep these fields, cultivate these stalks under, and get oilseed radish planted back down. But we'll just see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what sort of time we have. But right now we're going to be focused on getting more of this corn chopped, getting it into the silage bunker, and then getting that obviously packed and ready to cover by the time that we come back around to the next video. The next video will probably be in the same game day, just so that we can get the grapes done and we don't have to worry about time, because we still have soybeans to harvest, we still have sunflowers to harvest, and I think there's one more. One more. Nope. Sunflowers and soybeans. Yep. But we've got soybeans both here at this farm, as well as soybeans at the greenhouse. So we've still got some things to do before we can say that fall is over. So we're gonna do the wine next, and that way we can get that going. Wanted just to thank everyone, all of the new subscribers to the Grizzly Bear Sims YouTube channel. Very, very much appreciated. And of course, very special thank you to all of our older subscribers as well. Not necessarily in age, but just the folks that have been subscribed to me for almost the beginning, as many of you have, and still watch my videos and still interact with me in the comments and such. I very much appreciate everything. So hope you all are having a wonderful day, and I will see you right back here on Elm Creek Farm for Farming Simulator 22 as we continue to harvest throughout our second year of existence. And thank you all for watching, and I'll see you right back here. Bye for now.